Go for main engine start. We have main engine start. 4, 3, 2, 1.
For the very first time, the SSL Gold Cup final series took place in beautiful Las Palmas on Gran Canaria in the Spanish archipelago in the Atlantic Ocean.
It's a super nice place, super good environment, spectacular to have here this event.
The SSL Gold Cup is the Football World Cup in sailing, an extraordinary competition involving 56 national teams vying for the inaugural title of World Champion of Sailing Nations.
Busy, drama, excitation, good races. That is SSL.
It's something spectacular that never happened before in sailing.
In the SSL Gold Cup, all the equipment is supplied, so each team enters the competition on a level footing.
It's a nations against nations, so it's all about skills, experience, and then it's all sailors and nothing else.
Teams of 9 or 10 sailors on board the yachts with a maximum crew weight of 730 kilograms, performing specific roles in unison to get the best out of the highly technical SSL 47 yachts.
Well, we like to think of the SSL Gold Cup as an event that is like no other.
I think we're all really happy to be here and kind of excited to see where it might go in the future.
A great chance for sailing as a sport, and it's just so close to the spectators.
Racing takes place in fleets of 4, each sailing 4 races. The final day is the Golden Double Points race, where fortunes can be won and lost in an instant, and the adrenaline surges. To reduce the field from 56 to 40, a qualifying series was held in 2022 in Switzerland. 30 teams took part, competing for a spot in the final series. The 16 teams who made it through were Bulgaria, Peru, Slovenia and Tahiti, Chile, Cuba, Estonia and Portugal, Antigua and Barbuda, Bermuda, Malaysia and Ukraine, as well as Czech Republic, Lithuania, Oman, and the Republic of South Africa. They joined the top 24 national teams for the SSL Gold Cup Final Series. The top-ranked nations were decided by the SSL Nations Ranking, a unique system which uses results from all major sailing events, incorporating over 113,000 athletes in its calculations. In the build-up to the final series, the anticipation was extraordinary, but finally, it was time.
The format is amazing, the spirit is amazing, I feel really that this is fantastic.
The 30-second finals saw 16 races across the 4 fleets with no shortage of heart-pounding moments, including 600-meter comebacks, protests, ripped sails, and even a man overboard situation.
Malaysia takes the win!
From the start, the event drew huge international interest, with Malaysian Crown Prince enjoying an extended visit to Gran Canaria to support his team.
A wonderful opportunity for us, and it's sort of a dream come true where we can actually sail for our nation, and it's a great honor.
The support paid off. The 8 teams who qualified to the next round were Malaysia and Estonia, Tahiti and Bermuda, South Africa and Portugal, Slovenia and Lithuania, as well as Antigua and Barbuda and Chile, who secured lucky loser spots.
For winning a row, that was unexpected, but we take it like day after day, pass after pass.
I think we did a nice job and just picked off the shifts that we needed to and kept it together.
Big thanks to my team. I mean, we really came together today and made it happen.
In the 16th finals, the first 6 seeded nations entered the competition, but they weren't to have an easy time against the battle-hardened qualifiers. Of the newcomers, Austria, Croatia, Canada, Finland and Japan were all knocked out. Racing was extraordinarily tight, particularly in Fleet 1, where we saw a different winner in every race. But after the nail-biting double points races, we saw Hungary, the only new team to progress, along with Malaysia, Lithuania, Tahiti, Republic of South Africa, Chile, Slovenia, and Portugal make it through to the next round.
We are enjoying a lot that we can sailing for our nation, and all of the supporters and friends and the family at home. So we will be fighting in the next round as an animal. So we are super happy.
We were not expecting that result also as a team. We wanted to go as far as we could, but access to the 16th was already great.
In the 8th finals, a further 8 seeded teams ranked 16th to 9th in the SSL Nations Ranking entered the competition to challenge the qualifiers from the previous round. Some of the big sailing nations joined at this stage, as we saw Argentina and the USA, Poland and Brazil, Switzerland and Norway, as well as Sweden and France, started their campaign to win the SSL Gold Cup.
This format gives everybody an equal chance because the teams that are coming up from the previous rounds are really warm up. They know the course, they know the boat, and you kind of show up a little cold, and it takes a while for you to, get into the groove of sailing this boat well.
For Argentina and the USA, it all went horribly wrong, crashing out in the golden double points race, with the lower-ranked teams, Hungary and Malaysia, sealing qualification from their group.
This is history for us. What's the result after this is a bonus for us. We try to do our best for the next round and enjoy the race here.
This is one of a kind opportunity for our country and for the team. So basically we enjoy every second of it. So yes, we are happy. As long as we can sail, we are happy.
While star-studded Brazil finally ended the dream run of fan-favorite Tahiti, who had been in the competition since day one, Lithuania continued to show strength and sailed an incredible round and won all the races to progress.
What can I say? Sometimes you just, even if you are unlucky with your fleet, you need to do your best job on the water, and that worked for us.
Switzerland looked down and out, but made a dramatic comeback to knock the Republic of South Africa out of the competition and qualify alongside Chile in their group.
We're still alive and we're getting stronger.
In the final group, Portugal sailed serenely through to the quarterfinals, but France completed one of the most stunning comebacks in sailing history. Needing to win the golden double points race and other results to go their way, using exceptional skill, they raced Slovenia off to the side of the course, managed to snatch the race win, and orchestrated the fleet to finish in the order they needed.
I can tell you the emotions on board were like up, down, up, down. Nothing was really under control, but we keep maneuvering really well and we keep the speed of the boat really well, and we saw the chance coming on, and we had the confidence that we can do it.
Really tight and a lot of pressure for me for sure, and for the team, but they are doing a really good job and we are very happy on board.
The quarterfinals meant we were down to the last 16 in the SSL Gold Cup Finals series. The 8 national teams who qualified, 3 of whom had been in the competition since day one, were set to take on the titans of the sailing world in the 8 top-ranked sailing nations in the world: Great Britain, Denmark, Germany, the Netherlands, New Zealand, Australia, Italy, and host nation Spain.
I have the feeling there's a few teams that have come in now that are bringing the level up even further, and the teams that are left are already at a great level, so I think it's going to be fantastic.
The who's who of sailing were on board the SSL 47 yachts, including teams where every single crew member was a world champion, pushing the competition and intensity levels up to the max. A place in the semi-finals was on the line, and of course, no one wanted to miss out.
We've been watching all the earlier rounds, trying to learn as much as we can off teams like Malaysia, who have been here for a little while, and they're doing a great job. They're fast, as are the French. It's really exciting racing.
Great concept, and it's great to see so many familiar faces out of the big boat world and Olympic sailing, and to race against them, and it's great fun.
Being home is nice, but no extra pressure or whatever. At the end, we are sailors, we need to deal with the pressure. We have been under pressure many times. So I think that for us, it should be the same as usual, no? At the end is one more day of sailing.
In Fleet 1, we saw Great Britain and Denmark enter the competition, but with very different fortunes. While the Danish Dynamite failed to explode into life, the British Spitfires came in hot.
It was really nice to win every race, but actually, yeah, just getting to the semis was the goal. Everything starts again now. We've got 3 really good teams in our group. Reset, refocus, and look forward to the semis.
The real battle was between France and Malaysia for the second semi-final qualifying spot alongside the Brits. There was nothing to separate these two, with the Malaysian monsoon team going into the final double points race 1 point ahead of France's Les Bleus. In the end, it was the French match racing experience which put them through, while the monsoon team finally bowed out with their heads held high and new fans all around the world.
We were sure that they will push until the end. That's what they did. Every downwind they came back again fast, and so we are keep pushing them away, and finally we crossed the finish line in front of them.
The Hungarian Shamans continued their strong form with an impressive 3 wins out of 4 in Fleet 2. Behind them, it was a 3-way battle for the second qualifying spot between the Netherlands' Lions, Germany's Unbreakables, and Chile's Finis Terre sailors. It came down to just 9 seconds, with the Dutch Lions coming out on top of an ultra-close battle with Germany's Unbreakables.
Being in control of the Germans there, I think that was quite satisfying actually, that moment. And for sure the last cross coming into the finish, then knowing you can cross and basically can't go wrong anymore, it was a nice feeling.
Fleet 3 was one of the most open of the competition, with the Antipodian teams of Australia and New Zealand entering the competition, taking on Brazil and Portugal. 3 of the 4 teams won races, with the Australian Boxing Kangaroos starting strongly with a win in the first race, followed by the Brazilian Storm winning races 2 and 3. The double points race on Thursday was extraordinarily close, with New Zealand's Guardians requiring a race win and other results to go their way to qualify. The Guardians secured the win, but it was a photo finish between Brazilian Storm and the Boxing Kangaroos which decided the qualifiers. Brazil took the top spot, with New Zealand edging Australia for the second qualifying place, thanks to Brazil finishing just centimetres ahead of the Boxing Kangaroos.
We knew what we had to do going in today, and that was to go out and win the race, so super aggressive on the start and obviously incurred a penalty for that, but came on the wind and boat was in a great mode, and just managed to get some really nice pressure out on the right hand side while everyone else was getting tangled, so pretty stoked.
There's very strong teams and we know anything could happen, so very happy to move forward.
The home nation, Spain's La Armada team, and the Italian Gladiators were the newcomers in Fleet 4, meeting Switzerland's Helvetic Lakers and the hugely impressive Lithuanian Ambers. The Spanish had all but qualified going into the final race, but the Italians and Swiss were on equal points. After controlling their opponents impressively throughout the race, in the end, it was the Gladiators who joined La Armada in qualifying for the semi-finals. The Ambers failed to match their previous form, with the Lithuanian campaign running out of steam after their long run in the competition.
For sure it wasn't easy, that's the first thing to say. I think that the Italians and the Swiss did a really good job. It was a tough battle today. It's looking easy, but for sure on board it wasn't.
We did a nice job, a nice maneuver. Michele drove the boat very well, and I hope that we keep going like that, and that we learn from today in order to try to sail even smoother tomorrow.
So our final 8 teams were set. Great Britain, Brazil, the Netherlands and Italy in semi-final 1, and New Zealand, France, Hungary and Spain in semi-final 2. Unlike the previous rounds, the semi-finals on December 2nd were a single race shootout. No second chances, no margin for error, no excuses. It was all on the line, and dreams of lifting the SSL Gold Cup trophy could be dashed in an instant. Semi-final 1 saw the 4 nations lined up perfectly on starboard in the 12 knots breeze in a battle of boat speed, with the British Spitfires squeezed between the Dutch Lions and Italy's Gladiators, while the Brazilian Storm was slightly separated to the left. It was nearly 6 minutes before we saw the first tack, with Brazilian Storm crossing over first, having to duck the Gladiators and Spitfires, while the Dutch Lions followed suit and also tacked away. The Italian and British teams delayed until they were near the port ley line. The Dutch Lions showed a turn of speed to move ahead of the Brazilian Storm as the Gladiators started to control the Spitfires. The Dutch Lions rounded the windward mark first, with the Gladiators having to make a huge last-minute duck on port, tacking just in front of the Brazilian Storm, with the Spitfires on their tail in last. Downwind, the powerful yachts were surfing the waves, testing the trimmers and grinders to the limit. Brazil went left, Great Britain went right, while Italy and the leading Netherlands team went down the middle. When the Dutch Lions jibed on to starboard, they forced the Gladiators across with them, bringing the Brazilian Storm and Spitfires back into the game. The teams evenly split at the leeward gate, the Netherlands and Great Britain choosing the offshore right-hand side of the upwind leg, while Italy and Brazil went inshore. The Spitfires then tacked on to starboard in a lift, forcing Brazilian Storm to tack away. In the increased swell, each maneuver was proving costly, and this engagement came at the price of vital meters, handing the initiative back to the Dutch Lions and Gladiators. The Italian Gladiators took the lead, tacking on top of the Dutch Lions, but the top two had pulled out a 100-meter lead over the Spitfires and Brazilian Storm at the final windward mark. As nothing changed on the last downwind leg, the Gladiators and the Dutch Lions surfed across the finish line and into the grand final.
First of all, we are Italian, you know that we are quite passionate. So I think that, as you said, it's a relief because it's a lot of tension, you know. You are sailing against amazing sailors, and all the guys on board did exactly what they have to do. And I hope that we continue like that also tomorrow.
We're all incredibly happy. We were never expecting it. I think the semi-final that we were in today was incredibly strong. So I think many would definitely say that we were not the favorite going into the race. So we were extremely happy to come over the finish line in second.
In the second semi-final, the Hungarian Shamans had the best start at the committee boat end with pace. The French Les Bleus were in the middle, and New Zealand's Guardians won the pin, but it was a terrible late start for the home nation Spain in the fleet's disturbed wind. The Spanish La Armada team tacked early on to port, pitching up 200 meters to try and get back in the game, while Les Bleus were also forced to tack away after falling into the Shamans' cover. With the rain clouds coming through, there was a big drop in the wind, followed by a left wind shift, resulting in the Guardians and Shamans reaching on port into the windward mark, with La Armada just behind. Les Bleus were 600 meters behind at the windward mark and out of contention. Disaster then struck for New Zealand's Guardians, who pulled their spinnaker pole out early and were penalised with a 360-degree turn, dropping them from first to third, handing the advantage to the Shamans and La Armada. The Shamans executed a perfect spinnaker drop in the rainy conditions at the leeward gate, with La Armada choosing the left buoy in second, and the Guardians following the same upwind course as the Hungarians. At the first cross, La Armada had caught right up to the Shamans, tacking on top of them and forcing the Hungarian team back onto starboard. Every tack was causing the yachts to slow, but with the shifting wind, being in the right place at the right time was key. The Shamans couldn't afford to separate too far from La Armada and the Guardians, so later tacked back onto port, trying to protect their qualifying position. As the Hungarians returned on port to meet the Spanish and New Zealand teams, it couldn't have been closer, with the Shamans splitting the two and just 6 seconds separating the three at the windward mark. The Spanish La Armada team led the fleet downwind, but it was extremely tight between the Hungarian Shamans and New Zealand's Guardians, with just a couple of meters separating them. The Spanish executed a perfect jibe into the finish line, with Hungary holding off New Zealand to seal the second qualifying spot. Wild celebrations erupted on board both yachts, especially with the Hungarian shamans who had been in the competition for the past 2 weeks since the 16th finals.
Mamma mia, I'm not Italian, but yes, I do feel it, and I can tell you that the team itself, our group, deserve it because we are sailing good, the boat handling is nice, and when everything comes together, then we are very strong. So was awesome, amazing.
We are very happy to be in the final. There are 4 strong teams, and tomorrow will be only one race, so we have to sail very good to be in the top.
So after 23 days of competition and 64 races in Gran Canaria at the SSL Gold Cup, it all came down to the final 4 in the grand final. The inaugural Football World Cup of sailing's thrilling conclusion. We had Hungary's Shamans, captained by Zsombor Beret, who had been in the competition since the start of the 16th finals, so the team was certainly well drilled on the SSL 47 yachts and full of confidence going into the grand final. The Italian Gladiators were led by 27-time world champion Vasco Vascotto with an all-star crew. Having entered at the quarter-final stage, the team had demonstrated flawless crew work and were orchestrated tactically by the flamboyant Vascotto. Spain's La Armada had the home advantage, as well as boasting an extremely talented and decorated team. Led by sailing legend Luis Dorest, they cruised through the quarterfinals and their semi-final, showing superb boat speed and excellent local knowledge. Finally, we had the Netherlands. The Dutch Lions, led by Roy Heine, an Olympian, Volvo Ocean race skipper, and America's Cup sailor. The team boasted some incredible young talent and had shown extremely good speed, especially downwind. Everything was set for the start of the grand final of the SSL Gold Cup. But in sailing, the race begins well before the starting gun as the teams jostle for position, aiming to start in the perfect place at top speed. The winners of the start were Spain and the Netherlands, crossing the line at speed with clear air, while Hungary were shut out at the committee boat end, and Italy, who approached the line too low, having to squeeze up around the pin end, pushing them into the disturbed air of the Spanish yacht. Recovering from their poor start, the Hungarian Shamans team chose a perfect track on the first upwind leg and, in a move a chess grandmaster would be proud of, outmaneuvered the Spanish La Armada on the final approach to the windward mark, switching a 10-second deficit into a 20-second lead, leaving La Armada open to attack by the Italian Gladiators. Tactical sailing at its very finest. Downwind, the Shamans risked it all by going left, while the rest of the fleet went right. A brave move by the charismatic Hungarian captain and tactician Zsombor Beret. The Gladiators also put La Armada to the sword, as the Spanish were still suffering after their windward mark mauling, while the Dutch Lions, who have remarkable speed with the spinnaker up, roared back into contention. The Shamans conjured a stunning spinnaker drop, while the Dutch Lions rounded just 25 seconds behind, having bitten 30 seconds off their windward mark deficit, overtaking the Gladiators and La Armada in the process. The Dutch team were on the charge, but Hungarian helm Robert Bakocsi was in the zone. The team, who started racing in Gran Canaria in the 16th finals, were reading the local winds and waves to perfection. Behind the Shamans, the other three were engaging in a tight battle. The Gladiators tacked on the Dutch Lions, who in turn held La Armada out on the left. These exchanges were all playing into the Hungarians' hands, who rounded the windward mark with a 46-second lead, as just 14 seconds separated Italy, the Netherlands, and Spain. As the wind continued to drop, the Gladiators charged, but the Shamans wove their magic to fend off their opponents.
Here we are, we have the winners! The Hungarian are the SSL Gold Cup winners!
Zsombor Beret, Robert Bakocsi, Marcel Goslet, Csaba Adorian, Kos Lilik, Levente Takazi, Balázs Tomai, Zsombor Gyapjas, and Aaron Nemeth have written their names in the history books as the inaugural world champions of Sailing Nations. Behind them, the Italian gladiators sealed silver and the Netherlands Dutch Lions took bronze.
I can say that it was a pleasure to be on the tactician side. I had zero doubt that we can make it, and luckily all the team members felt the same. So it was just amazing, and we are very grateful that this SSL Gold Cup and the whole concept is working, because maybe as individuals we are not the best, but we proved here that as a team we are the best.
So, after sailing 5 of the 6 rounds, facing off against 13 other teams on the water, and over 17 days, the Shamans sailed to victory in this inaugural SSL Gold Cup. For an event with such high expectations, the SSL Gold Cup truly surpassed all its goals. Nation-against-nation competition in sailing has never been seen before on this scale, and the sport was put on the global stage, broadcast in countries around the world and reaching new fans. The inaugural Football World Cup in sailing delivered on its promise, and this is just the beginning.